One of my lower beams is Godzilla.
Oh, thank the freaking Hindu Lord.
I think you had seen, Lacey, had you seen Godzilla 98 before?
I would have had a Matthew Broderick crush at the time, and then I would have immediately lost it after watching this movie.
So
what a freaking panty waist.
What a panty waist.
That's so horrible. I mean, he wastes panties is what I'm telling you.
Yeah, but a panty waist is also like...
I know what the fuck it is. I'm sorry.
So you're pro Broderick?
No.
You were at a certain
I
point?
would have been, yeah.
Okay. Before we watched this movie 2 days ago, what did you think of him?
No. I don't know if it's from the Election. Is that called Election? Mm-hmm. There's some movie I watched where I just forever was turned off by him. And there's no layers. He's not multifaceted. He doesn't have different gears. He's always the same.
He's got a thing.
Bland, but he doesn't. He's way thinks he's cuter than he is.
Okay, but that's still a thing that he has, and I hate it. I think he might be my least favorite actor.
He's a little boy.
I feel like I've said that about a different actor, though, before on this show.
No.
But I think he might be my least favorite actor. I instantly have less interest in the thing if he's in it.
Yeah.
He grates on me. I just find him totally obnoxious. I hate his shtick. I hate Ferris Bueller. Every time I think about Ferris Bueller, I get depressed. And I feel like we might need to watch it for the podcast for that reason.
Sure.
Godzilla, 1998, directed by Roland Emmerich. Here's my history with the movie.
Tell me.
It was the first DVD I owned, or at least one of the first. There was the period where I owned like 4 DVDs. Simpsons Season 1, Godzilla, Rush Hour 2, and Blue Streak with Martin Lawrence.
Rush Hour Part 2, not Rush Hour, you're miscounting.
Right.
2. Okay.
Part 2 in the Rush Hour trilogy.
What was the fourth one?
4 DVDs. Blue Streak.
Oh, okay.
And
little guy's guy.
Those were my brother's movies, but Godzilla and Simpsons were mine, and Rush Hour and Martin Lawrence were my brother's.
Rush Hour and Martin Lawrence.
Blue Streak, Martin Lawrence, Blue Streak.
Jesus.
Well, a Blue Streak. That's the most just nondescript movie title that there is, right? Blue Streak.
You think that his career is so anonymous that people couldn't...
The movie title. As a title of a movie, Blue Streak is a bad title. It doesn't tell you anything, and it's so forgettable, and it's weird.
You can say that about so many movie titles.
Yes, but I'm saying it about this one.
Welcome to the Dollhouse.
No, that's great.
It says nothing.
That's great.
Okay.
That puts you in a mood of what that movie is. Blue Streak.
It's about being a cop.
Yeah, but that doesn't do it.
Blue means something to people, and it's the thin blue line. Get it? He's got a streak, not a line. He's not so straight. He's got a blue streak?
No, he's on a streak where he's being a blue cop.
Either way. That same thing. It's not a consistency of a line. It's a streak.
I can't believe you're arguing about this. This is a bad position. That's a bad movie title. It's an anonymous, nondescript movie title.
Red Dragon.
What? You get Red Dragon's very
Green
important thing
Mile.
in the movie.
I'm just naming colors at this point.
These are things in the movies.
It is a pun. It's funny. It's a good It's a good
funny.
title. It is.
What's funny about it?
Because it says exactly what he is. A blip of a cop for a minute. That's what it is.
But how is it funny?
Well, I mean, it's being clever. Why is Rush Hour good?
I'm not saying it is.
I've never heard you this upset about a movie title. I just think you're very wrong.
I think you're very
Anyway,
wrong.
Can we talk about your fucking movie?
Was a way to litigate this.
Okay. A way to litigate where you'd be right? There's not.
Without resorting to, if you surveyed 100 people, I bet 98 of them would say Blue Streak's a bad title.
But you just resorted to that by completing your entire sentence that you said you weren't going to do.
You noticed that, did you? Well, this is one of the 4 movies I owned on DVD. And I watched it a lot. And I have fondness for disaster movies. And I like creatures. And I like dinosaurs. So I enjoyed this movie. I probably had not watched it after the age of 15.
Okay, that makes sense. When would Jurassic Park have come out? Sorry, is it like 92?
93.
That up? Oh, God, I was close. Okay. And what about the second one?
97. So Godzilla comes out
you
1
were
year
hankering.
after Lost World, Jurassic Park, that is a problem because
Yeah.
they are kind of similar in their
Yes.
sort of aimlessness, multiple endings, and
The
Lost
whole-
Worlds.
The whole movie's an ending.
Yes. Lost Worlds last sequence where the Tyrannosaurus rampages through San Diego is a very Godzilla-esque sequence. And then we get this movie. But I guess we should talk generally about Godzilla. I was wondering if we even like put it into the context of the Godzilla series, because it's not like I knew anything about that when I watched the movie.
I don't think that matters.
Okay, but I think it's the only interesting thing about this movie is its legacy as part of this very important.
That's just funny that the only interesting thing about this movie is all the movies that did it better before it. I like that.
Well, yes, but it's the only. If you had to say one sentence about this movie,
Too many endings. Too much Broderick. Zero charisma in any of the actors, and a ton of those actors have charisma, but they didn't bring it to this
not a one
movie.
sentence review, but a one sentence
Oh.
summation. What's the deal with that movie in the larger canon of Godzilla? Because Godzilla is a super important. Okay, but it's a super important.
It's a contrived question. Okay, then what is the sentence?
All questions are contrived.
Oh, right. I just mean it's kind of sweaty.
The first American attempt at this got everything that is so beloved about the property wrong.
Oh,
and
okay.
incorrect. And so Godzilla, a beloved. I mean, there's been like 50 Godzilla movies. Beloved Japanese cultural institution, taken very, very seriously. What?
I could hear that. I could hear everything.
I just scratched my belly and Lacey pointed at her headphones to say I could hear that.
I pointed at your stomach and then I did that.
I've never know hand gestures. Never used them with me. We've been together so long and you don't know that about me. I also don't know whispers. I don't know mouth reading. It's all coming out.
And I don't know how to spell or write, so we're just fucked, aren't we? Only direct talking into each other's faces.
Yeah, but it'd be
Ears,
like,
not even
Lacey, here's
faces.
my secret message.
I wasn't trying to
Spell
tell you a
out
fucking
the
secret.
word there. 1950. No, let's go back even further. 1945. The United States drops 2 nuclear bombs on Japan. It's a big deal, very traumatizing to the citizens of Japan. They live with this for a long time.
Yeah, I would think so.
In the aftermath of this horrific thing that happened to them. And to this date, only to them, only time nuclear weapons have been used on a people. Okay. So they're dealing with that. I mean, it's like, you know, think of how many movies dealt with 9/11.
Yeah.
You know, either directly or indirectly, and you know, then it's that times comparison shopping on tragedies, but way larger scale.
Right. It's
Okay.
a small island
Yes, and also
for nuclear testing.
also hundreds of thousands of people dying versus 3,000.
Yes.
Plus other hundreds of thousands of people living with radiation.
Right. Is this the bikini? No, that's not bikini
Well,
Bottom.
1954, there's an American nuclear test on the Bikini Atoll island in the Pacific Ocean. In the 98 Godzilla that we're talking about, that explosion, they show it in these archival news footages.
That happened in the beginning of the credits.
Although then they say that it's French nuclear testing that caused Godzilla.
They showed more than one nuclear site in the opening.
Okay. But they do directly say it was the French who did this, who made Godzilla.
That was
And
an
it's this
interesting
French,
choice.
these French Secret Service guys who were like, they're charged with monitoring the effects of France's nuclear experiments.
If I had to pick one country that I didn't think had a secret service, it would immediately be France.
France? Why?
Because they have to put bubblegum in their mouth to make them look tough. Like, it's just funny. They just don't. All Secret Service seems a bit macho, and I don't
You don't think of the French as macho?
in a good way. I don't. They're not a
There's,
machismo vibe country.
you know the Hardcore History podcast, Dan Carlin?
Oh, I do.
He likes to talk about how like World War II sort of ruined the French's especially the French army's reputation. But
Yeah.
like until then, France was like the embodiment of like, this is a feared warrior country.
Stop it.
Yeah. The army was the best in the history of the
Stop
world,
it.
the most disciplined. And like, yeah, they're just like any other powerful country now. They got their secret service, they got their nuclear weapons, they're assassinating people all over the
It
world.
just seemed like a
secretly.
weird choice.
Yeah. It is a weird that it was made at all is like what's up with that? What could they not have?
I thought it was the opposite. You were saying it was a way of scapegoating someone other than the United States, or to wouldn't be the United
That
States.
is what I thought it was.
I'm not denying that you thought it was that. I'm going to give you my opinion now.
Okay.
Okay, fantastic. That's why I'm on the podcast, not just you by yourself.
All right.
I thought it was the opposite. I thought it was a way of letting France get to be a hero and get some of that, like, macho stuff back. I thought they were being nice. Because France comes in and really helps in this movie. Without them...
Yeah, but Jean Reno has that line where it's like, I'm cleaning up my country's mistakes.
Yeah, fine, but that's exactly what we faulted them for, right? For pussing out and, like, leaving us high and dry. This is the opposite. He's not even... He's
Leaving us high and dry.
Right, didn't that happen in World War II, right? Like, they could have helped more or something? I don't know. You know, I don't know history.
Give me your history of... They could have helped out more, but they didn't.
They were busy. They were using baguettes instead of guns. I don't know. I just know that we thought of them as, like, not helpful and as fearful.
Well, that's another problem.
Oh, shit.
This is turning into the French history podcast.
Is it?
So France did surrender. France and Britain were fighting the Germans in World War II, and France in 1940 surrendered and capitulated. Its government collapsed. The Nazis came in, set up their own puppet government called Vichy France. But there are a couple things to keep in mind. One,
Okay. I'll keep neither.
World War I was less than 30 years ago, and the majority of the Western Front of that war took place in France, took millions of French lives, was a living memory for everyone.
Right.
And they were
First
just now
generation.
recovering, and they're like, we can't do this again. Literally can't do this again. Other countries didn't go through what we went through.
Right.
The other thing is there were lots of people in their government who were very sympathetic to Hitler. France in the 30s had a socialist prime minister named Leo Blum who was a Jew, and there was lots of anti-Semitism directed towards him. It was also just sort of like a right-wing attitude, as you were more sympathetic to the Nazis than you were to the French socialists.
Interesting.
So it was also like, oh, well, let them come in, whatever. So the reputation's pretty unfair.
Oh, fine. But what would you say the unfair reputation was?
That
Americans.
they're cheese-eating surrender monkeys.
Right. So exactly what I said then?
Oh, but you said they left us when we needed them. But they didn't leave us. We weren't in the war at the time.
Oh my God. I just meant they weren't being great allies. They did something to make the war harder on everyone else.
America wasn't in the war at
I
the time.
said everyone else.
America
We
was
aren't
neutral.
everyone else. Oh my fuck. I'm talking about the surrendering. If they surrender, it makes it harder on everyone else. How am I saying United States in your ears?
Well,
I haven't said the United States once.
Okay.
Oh my God. No, you just want me to be wrong about this. This is not my point. My point is, I know that there are Americans that think, oh, pansies, for whatever freaking reason. So I thought this was the director being nice.
All right, this episode about Godzilla is a disaster. So we'll try to... This is like Godzilla attacking New York itself, is this episode. is
I'm
the
going to...
arguments we just cut out about World War II. And
We're cutting it out? Why?
we're cutting out our discussion about whether I was making fun of
Why?
you or not.
Oh, that part. Okay. Well, you're aggravating me just as I'm about to say, I'm going to change my attitude.
Oh, that's nice.
And not for you,
Oh.
for the listeners. I'm going to be nice to you. All right. And nice. Go.
All right. So France is one of 8 countries that has nuclear weapons. Do you want to guess the others?
Yes. But I'm not going to do it. The United States,
Uh-huh.
Russia,
Yes.
North Korea,
Yes. You win by guessing 5.
okay, Germany,
No.
farts, Iran.
No.
Is it a Middle Eastern country at all?
No.
Farts again.
Well, yes. Sorry.
It's okay.
Let me asterisk. 8 admit.
China.
Yes.
Did I
8,
get up?
no, that's 4.
Damn.
8 countries 8 countries acknowledge nuclear weapons, and then a ninth, Israel, has them, but doesn't say they have them. But
Got
everybody
it.
knows.
Okay.
So that's the Middle Eastern.
All right, I'll get this other one, Jessica. I guess South Korea could.
No.
That's why I wasn't gonna guess them. Vietnam would be too small.
No, and you don't get the one that we already said, France. So far
Still
we've
more,
got,
I can guess.
Yeah. So
I need a map. Austria?
no, not Austria.
Not Italy. They don't have things. They don't have the
I
space.
think they used to.
Where do they put them in the water?
No, I think it's part of something. I don't know. I know there used to be more countries that had them.
The Soviet Union.
Russia, they
Damn
they
it!
have them. Yes.
I was hoping there was multiple things inside of the Soviet Union.
Okay, let's see. Hint: Austin Powers loves this country.
Britain?
Yeah.
Oh.
Okay. Hint: this is a country, a big country,
a
with
big one.
the second most people in the world.
Ooh. It's big.
Big country.
With a whole bunch of people.
Yes.
India.
India is correct.
They seem too peaceful.
There is only one more country. They are right next to India, and they have nuclear weapons because
Malaysia.
India has them, and they're always fighting with each other. Not Malaysia.
Is Malaysia near India?
I mean,
It's not near it. All right,
There you
I'll
go.
take
Not
it.
near.
I'll take it. They're right next to each other. You're saying.
Right. In fact,
And you're saying it's not Israel at
they
all.
used to be one country.
Oh, fuck. And apartheid is not a country. I'm just kidding. Just kidding. All right. What's next? Turkey?
No.
Farts. Is Turkey next to India?
No.
Damn it! All right, just tell me.
Pakistan. So those are the countries that have nuclear weapons. You're welcome, y'all.
That was fun.
We should have more guessing games on the podcast.
You always say that because you love how bad I am at it. Yeah,
you could do it to me. I love guessing.
you know all the things.
Not about hair.
Makeup and babies. I swear to fucking
Hair
God.
on the body. Not about food. Not about. That's it. Those are the only two things.
Hair, body hair, and food.
Yes.
Do you know that those two
My
things
two weaknesses.
don't taste good together? That's right, they don't.
Not to some. I'm sure there are people who love to
Oh
eat
my
hair.
God. Okay, come on.
Like I said, this is a disaster. This is a war crime. Godzilla. Wait, nuclear weapons. Well, 1954, the United States explodes a nuclear bomb, a hydrogen bomb in the Bikini Atoll, and it causes an
And the
iguana
bikinis,
to turn,
what? I'm just
to
kidding.
turn into Godzilla, and it's also what caused SpongeBob SquarePants. That's why Bikini,
yes, Bikini
Bottom's
Bottom.
called what it is called. I know you know that,
And
and
that's why
probably
there's
everybody
a
else does
talking
too.
sponge.
Yeah, that's delightful.
It is delightful. And they all mix in the Galapagos in there too to try to give you a reason why a large lizard could get larger. Like, oh, well, maybe if we start the lizard like 20 times its normal size, it would make sense that it can then be 2,000 times its normal.
It's true. And when you
It's not-
see the footage of iguanas swimming in the ocean, it just looks incorrect. It looks wrong to me.
I'm not discussing that, but you're right. The swimming lizards are strange.
Well, I wasn't saying.
You're
I was just building
adding,
on what you're
building.
saying.
Okay.
Right.
But wait.
So you
Do you
said
understand
something-
my point, though, how it's silly that they need to show us big lizards for us to imagine really big lizards
Yeah.
when the jump from a small one to a Komodo dragon, it's not that big, considering this jump from the Komodo dragon to Godzilla. You could make
it
just
makes
as
you
big
think,
of a
like,
leap.
little nuclear radiation. That's all it takes.
'Cause it was
It's
already
pretty
big,
Yeah, already
guys.
pretty big.
It's like saying this infant couldn't turn into a giant, but that teenager could. Whoa! Okay. Hot take.
It's a good take.
Thank you.
Well, 1954, America does this nuclear explosion, and there's this fishing boat in a very famous incident in Japan. I can't say the name of the fishing boat because I don't want to sound like an idiot.
Okay.
But it's a fishing boat that was outside of the U.S. Navy's warning disaster area. But turns out the explosion was twice as big as they were expecting. And
damn.
this wind blew the dust all over the area. And even though these fishermen were far away from the explosion,
The
they
fallout.
inhaled all the fallout, got radiation poisoning, came back to Japan. were in the hospital for 2 years, basically.
Oh my God.
Only one person died, but this
You can
was-
get better from radiation poisoning? Blood transfusions and stuff, I guess?
They got antibiotics every day, blood
Yeah.
transfusions, all kinds of stuff. I mean, they were sick for a year and a
That's
half.
crazy.
But they were eventually discharged and lived like normal lives.
and
but it's
enjoyed
sort of
all
like-
3 of their legs the whole time. They could run so
But
fast.
it's it's like, well, I have radiation poisoning, so like a good flu could kill me.
Got it.
That sort of thing.
And lawsuits weren't a thing to sue another country.
No, there were lawsuits, and
Only to replace the
there are a
boat.
couple of you read the Wikipedia page to get really outraged about this, because like the Japanese government was in contact with the U.S. State Department or the Defense Department, and they're like, listen, can you just like come here and help us, like tell us what you did, because we need to know how to treat these people. And they're like, no, we can't give away our
Those are
secrets.
secrets.
They eventually, U.S. did send 2 people to not help but observe and study what was happening to these people.
Lovely.
And eventually the U.S. paid a settlement of like $12,000 in today's terms to each people. But this was a big deal to the people of Japan. And there was already big awareness and anti-nuclear sentiment. And this only...
And resentment.
Yes.
And
yes.
when did internment camps happen?
That was during World War II, 12 years earlier.
Okay, so bombing then camps, camps then bombing.
No, camps then bombing.
Just curious.
Yeah.
Not that one did the other. I'm just...
Okay, so the original Godzilla movie is very much about this, and Godzilla always stands in as a metaphor for nuclear weapons.
Tony Stark Industries.
For Tony Stark Industries. The 1998 Godzilla doesn't care about that shit. Godzilla was caused by radiation in this movie, but who cares about all the other stuff? But also, in all these Godzilla movies, Godzilla's never really an enemy. Like, he's a destructive force, but
I feel like
there's also a lot of sadness and pathos to him. And then sometimes he's the protector of Japan.
I feel like they very much got that right in this movie.
You do?
They made it clear every time they could that this was not a hostile creature. It never eats a human ever, doesn't ever put a human in its mouth. Like, it gets up close and doesn't hurt anything. It's just confused and scared, trying to lay eggs and trying to hide.
Yeah, I thought that too. I was surprised that stuff was there, because I'd always heard that this was just sort of a mindless, destructive. I mean, it's when you compare it to like proper Godzilla movies, he is way more like an animal. Mm-hmm. But that was just one of the objections: is Godzilla isn't an animal, and the portraying him like he's just an animal or a dinosaur. But there are the moments, yeah, like he stares at Matthew Broderick several times. There seems to be like some connection and understanding.
And more than just with Matthew I mean, just generally, the animal's not looking to retaliate. The only time it does is when it gets shot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I actually... I like those parts of the movie. That's when I think Matthew Broderick was actually doing a good job. Is
just standing there, getting
just
breathed
when
on.
he just stands there, yes, and gets breathed on. He's pretty good. But I've been talking for a long time. Can you walk us through this movie?
God, what's to say? Every time you think it's over, it's not. It's just one big chaotic action sequence after another. I find it is so boring. You rely on witty banter and like plot to get you through lots of action. I don't like action just for the sake of it. I could follow the action. That's all fine. But there's just... Am I really trying to tell you the plot, or am I trying to tell you my opinion? There was no charisma in any of the actors. Or at least they didn't have any with each other. There's no witty one-liners. There's no wit. I don't... And a lot of weird, like, sexual harassment stuff, like 3 different times.
Mm-hmm, like what?
Well, I mean, the obvious stuff from the anchor, the lead news reporter, to the lady who's trying to get into the news. And then immediately, Matthew Broderick's character as the scientist is very inappropriately hit on by the lead scientist that's already there working at the government on this issue. And another time, I'm sure. Well, it's just a very 90s movie.
Matthew Broderick has in his working suitcase, pictures of his
Right.
long lost love, even though they've been broken
From
up for
8
8
years.
years.
Yeah.
And in 98, this is just shorthand character development. But yeah, it's weird.
It's fucking
Don't
weird.
do that. Not cool.
It doesn't mean you're sweet. It means you're
Yes, I know.
clingy
Yes. What a lovesick man. Oh.
and she left. The story is that she left him without saying anything. Mm-hmm. That's some hardcore way to leave somebody you've been with for a couple years.
Yeah, but I don't believe him.
You don't believe him? He
I
said
don't
it
believe
to
him.
her.
No, I know, but I'm saying, I bet if we really looked at this relationship, she was giving him signs all along. I'm going to leave. I'm going to leave. I can't do this anymore. And he's like, oh, you please, Audrey, stay with me.
Okay, but one day
and
you're
then when
stop.
she actually leaves,
Oh my God. The point is no phone call or interaction afterward. That is, no matter who you are, if you don't get at least one other kind of interaction after, it does feel weird.
I'm not saying it doesn't feel weird. I'm just saying I
I'm
don't
saying
totally
you still
believe him.
experience. Okay.
Unreliable narrator. That's all I'm saying. Matthew Broderick is a worm guy. He works at Chernobyl, and he's like, these earthworms are 17% bigger than what they were before the nuclear thing that happened in the 80s. And people are like, that's not interesting. And he's like, but it is. Oh, and people are always getting his name wrong, which is hilarious. Every time people see him, they're like, Mr. Tatapatopoulos. And he's like, it's Tatopoulos.
Why do you think they had it raining the entire time? Like, because things weren't hard enough? Or that's
Rain is
the entire time.
Rain
in
is a
every
thing
country.
that recurs. So a couple things. Rain
Oh,
recurs a lot.
Fallout.
Godzilla movies a lot. Also, rain makes special effects easier to hide.
Oh, but the same way it seems like it rains when there's fireworks. I'm sure I'm making that up, but does it also rain after an explosion? Does it disperse clouds?
Rain stuff, sure.
I don't
Yes,
know.
you're right.
I just didn't know if it was like a Fallout metaphor.
It is. And it's raining all the time, and it's a giant footprint. Oh my God, what's happened? Who's making this footprint?
That's another fucking thing.
What?
The scale of that creature was all over the fucking place. It was impossibly big so many times because they just didn't have a great special effects way of handling things, I guess. That footprint was ridiculous.
You kept pointing out that you can't track the scale of and the size of Godzilla, and it was a great point because that it you never get a sense of how big this thing is.
It's convenience.
In part because the traditional Godzilla model he's upright, he's bipedal and very tall that way. And this thing is more like a lizard, basically,
Right.
like that
Sometimes-
walks on all fours.
right.
It can stand up, but most of the time he crouches, and so
And
you don't
super, not acrobatic, but agile?
Yeah.
Is that a thing for the traditional Godzilla too?
No, they wanted to make this one fast, so
Not
when
just fast, crafty in maneuvering and getting out of the way of things.
Yeah, that's not a Godzilla thing.
Okay.
No, Godzilla's kind of plotting.
Godzilla has more intention. Mm-hmm. Okay.
When Sony Pictures bought the rights to Godzilla from Toho, the studio that makes Godzilla, they worked with the Toho people on a design and on a story, and then they hired Roland Emmerich, the director, to make this movie, and he threw all of that stuff out.
Really?
And he says, I do not want to go with their design or their story. It's all stupid. And he also said he doesn't like the Godzilla series anyway, and he wants to do his own
What
thing.
a perfect guy to really
Yes, and
capture this story and really do it justice.
He had just come off of Independence Day, biggest movie of 96.
Action-packed with a
redefining blockbuster.
And not recreating anything. Or if it did, only something that sort of existed. I mean, just like, you could make that your own, that movie.
Independence Day?
Yeah. It's just
Because you're saying it's not based on a property?
right. He didn't have to pay homage or give respect to anything. And he had fucking Will Smith. Everything's good with Will Smith.
Yeah.
And Pullman, who is never
Bill
Pullman.
Pullman.
Is it Pullman? I always
Bill
get the
Pullman,
two confused, the Twister guy and the
Yeah, even though
Casper
they're
guy.
nothing alike. But yeah,
I don't
the
something
Bill
about
Peas.
them. Yeah. And freaking Goldblum and Goldblum's dad, who's funny.
Yeah.
And others.
Lacey just folded her arms and sat back. Like,
It's actually
Very smoky.
is charisma packed, and I feel like he tried to like load it up with funny whatnots in this one, and didn't do any kind of work as to like playing them off of each other to see, are you guys good together?
yeah, I think the problem, like, these none of them are bad actors.
Yes, they are. Do you know who worked together in previous movies?
Who?
The redhead scientist and then the reporter chick. the two least interesting things ever. And like, oh, well, if you're going to have Maria on, you've got to bring on redheaded, blah, blah.
Uh-huh.
I just like that they were a package deal. I just assumed they were. Oh,
Well, and of
I know
course-
someone who could play sassy, molesty female scientist.
Speaking of actors who work together, this movie has 3 of the 6 main Simpsons actors.
Do you think that they mentioned each other, or do you think that the director just likes The Simpsons, or they were all at a bar? Or...
I bet it probably has nothing to do with The Simpsons, but except that they do pointedly have Hank Azaria at the very end go to Harry Shearer, she quits. That's like their only interaction throughout the movie, but it's like kind of weird, or just I don't know. This is a little notable that voice of Mo is telling the voice of Mr. Burns something on screen, but then Nancy Cartwright, the voice of Bart, is in one scene where Harry Shearer is on the phone, like looking for his next big scoop, and very awkwardly blue screen Godzilla is in the background, and she's like, sir.
Oh, is that who
sir?"
that was? I didn't. Okay.
And he's like, what? Shut up and leave me alone. Shut up and do your job.
What do you want to describe this? I would have never noticed the Siskel and Ebert joke.
Well,
It's a big part of the movie, though. I mean, it just keeps coming up.
yeah, and I don't know what that was, that notification. But I feel like it's one of like 2 or 3 things that people mention if they mention anything about this movie, it's the Ebert thing.
Well, then these are movie people mentioning that.
That's right. That's true. That's a good point.
John Q. Driveway doesn't have any clue this is happening.
What?
It's on the wrong. You're wrong about.
Damn it.
I know. I wish I'd made that up. Sally Q. Freeway.
But in the 90s, Siskel and Ebert were like in every home.
I know you think that. I'd never heard of him.
You'd heard of them.
Sure, and he has thumbs.
Well, they've got a Mayor Ebert who looks exactly like Roger Ebert, and he has his assistant Gene, who looks like Gene Siskel. Mayor Ebert is constantly eating. He's also, his signature is to give a thumbs up.
Are they also based off the Muppets? Or the Muppet characters based off of them?
No.
No, not that. I don't know why I had to sing that part for you to know what I'm talking about, but
Statler and Waldorf.
yeah.
But no, they're not
no
based
relation.
on Siskel and Ebert.
All right. They're probably a lot older.
And this was Roland Emmerich being like, fuck you, Roger Ebert, fuck you, Gene Siskel, for giving my movies bad ratings, which I don't think he actually did. I think he
preemptive
gave Independence Day a good review, and I don't know what he said
good.
about Stargate. Maybe he said Universal Soldier sucked. I don't
Universal
know.
Soldier did suck. That's not Toy Soldiers. Never mind. How was Universal Soldier?
I don't know. I've never seen it.
Well, we should watch Independence Day.
I watched the last 30 minutes of it today to just sort of like, because do you remember we watched it 2 years ago? We were at a conference in New Orleans, but we're staying in a hotel in New Orleans, and we had an early night, and we ordered a pizza in the hotel. Which there's nothing better getting a pizza in a hotel room. Am I right?
No.
No.
Steak and a baked potato. But
That's good too.
Keep
yes.
going.
Any food in your hotel room is good, but
Yes.
something about pizza in a hotel room.
I've never had a pizza in my hotel room.
This time you did.
Yeah, except for that one time. Anyway, why did we watch a movie? We watched
Independence Day.
But
yeah.
why?
On a laptop. I don't know.
All right.
But we did.
You
And
say so.
I think I watched like the first 20 minutes of it. And I then mentioned to you that I was watching it, and you said, I want to watch it, so we started it over.
You know, did we do Wild Wild West?
What?
Did we do Wild Wild West?
On this podcast?
Yeah.
No.
Will Smith is a load-bearing beam for me, just generally. And I'm just trying to think of what movie I'd pick. Would it be Men in Black or Wild Wild West?
I've seen Wild Wild West way more than I've seen Men in Black, but I know Men in Black is good and Wild Wild West is bad. But I also knew Godzilla was bad, and I chose this movie anyway. So let's do Wild Wild West. But I've seen it so many times.
Well, then let's do Men in Black.
Well, is there another? Are you a big Bagger Vance person?
No. I never saw that one.
Bad Boys.
Yeah.
I've never seen the Bad Boys movies.
Oh, okay. Well, I've seen it at least 3 times. Does that count?
Sure.
I love Martin
And they
Lawrence,
had
too.
Bad Boys for
Maybe
Life.
that's why I was so upset with the Blue Streak comment. I love
To
Martin
me
Lawrence.
personally. Were you a fan of Martin the TV show?
Yeah.
That was a big after Simpsons show for me. So I
it just happened to be
I
on.
ingested a lot of it by proxy without ever having watched an episode. Bad Boys for Life, the third one came out last year and was like this surprise big hit and this like triumphant sort of
Did we see it?
return. We did not return for Will Smith and Martin Lawrence.
Well, then let's watch
And now-
both for our next one.
Then we have to watch Bad Boys 2 as well.
No, why? Why can't we just skip that?
Skip to the third.
We'll do
I feel like
the
it
oldest one and do the most recent one.
All right.
I don't fucking know. I'm not no Siskel.
But it seems like this might be Will Smith's Fast and Furious now, where he's like, I'm going to make one of these every 3 years, and I'm going to.
But he's so orchestrated. He's so deliberate.
He's been floundering for a decade,
What?
not finding anything that's worked.
His salt and pepper isn't working.
No.
They don't. He's no Morgan Freeman, huh?
No, and his only movies that like are big hits are like Suicide Squad, where it's like this is not a big hit because of you. This is a big.
He's in that
superhero
movie?
Yeah, he was Deadshot. Don't you remember Deadshot?
No, he does. His charisma has to play alone. He can't be surrounded by a bunch of other. If he's not the only one yelling, it doesn't work. Okay, I mean, I guess that's not fair. He plays well with Martin Lawrence.
And in Independence Day, where he's not like he's the hero, but he is one of the members of the ensemble.
Yes, but he's perfectly counterbalanced by a completely different type of person. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but I'm not saying he has to be the leading man. I'm saying he can only be the one that's flamboyant the way that he is.
Okay, well, we watched Independence Day 2 years ago. That was the point.
Fine.
And in my head, I'm like, this is like perfect Hollywood blockbuster. Does everything so perfectly. This is like exactly what you want in a big tentpole movie.
That's how else is
And then
in
we
it.
watch it, and I'm like, it's not as good as I remember.
Independence Day wasn't?
Yeah.
Oh, poo.
And you agreed with me, I think.
I'm sure I did.
Not bad. Hey, this is good. Solid 3 out of 5. But it's not the transcendent like, ooh, this is like the platonic ideal.
I bet I'd feel
of a
that way
Hollywood
about
movie.
Twister as well, which was like the most amazing movie I'd ever seen when it came out. I
We
watched
could
it
do that
so many
'cause
fucking times.
I saw it once. I don't remember a thing
See,
about it.
I could quote the whole thing. I've probably seen it at least 13 times.
Well, actually, there is stuff I remember. I remember Pepsi cans.
We've got cows.
I remember cows. And
You remember asking Marge while she has so much beef? And then she says, "Did you see all those cows out there?" And then he says, "No." And then she says, "A knowing look."
I remember that. It's
Yeah.
weird how much of that movie I remember, despite
It's my first
Having
Philip
not seen
Seymour
it since
Hoffman
95.
exposure.
my second Alan Ruck
Who's that?
after Ferris Bueller.
Oh, his second movie.
Yeah. Well,
That's sometimes when you say "you" in a funny way. I think you're making fun of Helen Hunt, but I guess you're not.
no.
You? And
No,
that-
I'm making fun of Leapfrog Letter Factory.
That whole movie, and then it misses this house and that house, and then it turns to yo, or she says yo. Very.
Oh,
You'll say.
we have to watch it. Now.
You'll say. I've got to go. We've got cows. Oh, and that's when but she had this line. It was like, it's a brand new truck. It's insured, right? Liability only. Liability only. And then when I was a kid and I got insurance for my car, I was thinking, what fucking adult gets a brand new giant truck and gets liability only insurance? That's insane. What's wrong with that, man? I just thought it was a totally normal throwaway line to say in a movie. But if you were an adult listening and found out that someone got coverage only for the vehicle that gets in the accident with it and not for your own vehicle, that's just, I'm sorry. Okay.
I might be crazy, but I think I've only heard you should only get liability.
It doesn't protect your car.
Yeah, and that it does, but that's pointless to get because it doesn't help you very. I don't know.
What?
I've always heard only get liability. You don't need bodily coverage.
If you run into something that's not another car, then you have a completely wrecked car with no way to replace it or rebuild it.
Yeah, but
What are you talking about? Some people hit trees.
I don't know.
You can't sue
This
the
is just
tree.
what I've heard.
You're wrong
This
about
is just what I've heard. Well, we only have liability.
what?
We only have what the finance company tells us we need.
What? Yeah. Wait, but my car's protect. All right, I'm like appalled. We should have full coverage. That is what everyone should have. Unless I'm having a complete
Yeah, I think
lapse
you are.
in judgment here, but
No, I think we might not be talking about the same thing.
yeah, I don't think we are.
You know what? Maybe it's you don't need comprehensive coverage.
No shit.
All right, that's what I'm talking
Oh my god. I've been driving around naked out there. Oh, you can go into like.
about. You have not been. We're fine.
Yes, I now know that. You could. We just bought new cars, both of us on the same day last week. If we got into a wreck with each other, We'd have just the giant notes, no cars, no way to replace them. What sense does that make?
That'd be a pickle.
Oh, God.
But why are you arguing against the thing I did? And whatever.
Fine. I'm just saying, you're a real tool. Wait, remember how I was going to do a redo and be real nice? I had a cow.
Well, I was watching...
See Simpsons and Twister
watching
Tokum.
the last 30 minutes of Independence Day. And you have the stirring speech by the president, and then for some reason he's up in a fighter jet. And he's just all this corny shit with
Why is he in
swelling
there?
music, and yet every second of it works.
And Randy
Quaid, Randy Quaid's son, some reason is allowed to walk into the war room, and he's like, "That's my dad up there," and Randy Quaid is like, "Don't worry, Mr. President, I've got this," and sacrifices himself. And as he approaches the collision with the alien craft, and he's like, "Oh, all right, boys, I'm back." I'm like, I well up. I'm like, this is so good.
Because he was damaged and PTSD'd because he'd been probed by an alien.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
I
he was a
remember
horrible
somebody
dad
pointing
for
out-
that.
Somebody pointing out, I guess this is a Roland Emmerich thing, is you just have to have the person in the movie who's like, I figured it out about the thing. And everybody's like, shut up, you don't know anything. Because in Independence, well, in Godzilla, that's Matthew Broderick.
Right. Worm guy.
And in Independence Day, he's like, I was abducted by aliens. And everybody's like, you fucking quack. Even though they're literally about to go into the air to battle aliens. And they should be like, maybe he's onto something. Maybe he wasn't.
Let's all present our buttholes.
So there's something. The point is, Roland Emmerich took this nonsense movie just full of just the corniest patriotic pro-military bullshit and makes it stirring and amazing. And then 2 years later, it's trying to pull off all of the same tricks.
And he's trying to strike so many Jurassic Park chords. I mean, I just feel like I feel like seeing that movie messed up what he might have been able to.
But it's Jurassic Park casts such a shadow. How do you not like?
Maybe try to make it's a lizard, not a dinosaur. Maybe don't make it look so similar, and don't play the same swelling music. Like I'd almost heard that. I mean, and just so much reveling in the look of it. It's like let's just be running from it.
And it doesn't need to have the baby Godzillas who are just velociraptors.
Right.
That's so
boring.
Similar to the kitchen sequence in Jurassic Park.
Well, and they're just stuck in the freaking the garden.
Mm-hmm. Madison Square Garden. And I'm telling the listeners, not you. But things like with the door, are they going to open the doors? You see their shadows underneath the doors. It's all so similar to Jurassic Park. But okay, you fucking hated this movie. You were loudly objecting the whole time.
It was so fucking boring. It's just like it didn't have the right.
I don't agree with that. It's
not
not boring.
It did not have the right cadence. It started off with an action sequence that felt like it could be the end of a movie, and I was like, okay, that's just the opening action, fine. And
Which
then
one?
I don't fucking know, Matt. And then some more dialogue and some back and forth, and a big action sequence, and then there's 5 different times where the movie just felt like it should end because it didn't have the right flow.
Yeah, there's a lot of false endings. I'm not disagreeing with you about that. And I'm not saying this is a good movie. It's not. But I was a lot more sympathetic to it than you were. Because I think there's some really effective action sequences, which I just think Roland Emmerich is good at that. Like when the guy is on the fishing pier and the wave is crashing, like that's really good.
Sure, it's 45 seconds long, so it got me that far.
Yeah,
great.
I think Godzilla kind of looks pretty good.
I hate to go back to my old argument. I mean, this is like early days podcast argument, but it's the reason why this movie sucked. That movie gave me no one to care about.
So you're in one of these movies. You're supposed to care about Godzilla. He's the one you're supposed to root for.
But I know he's got to die.
Incidental.
Yeah, but I'm really pissed about all the damage, and I don't like. And just as a person, someone who's been through Katrina, someone who recently went through an epidemic all by myself, pandemic. I like. It's a lot of. All I can see is all the money piling up and how hard it's going to be to rebuild that city for everyone to go home, and then like the crowded house in New Jersey is giving me freaking, I'm uncomfortable. I know the dinosaur The lizard needs to be removed. There's no place for it. So it's you can't really attach to something needs to be destroyed. What else are you gonna do? 3 million people.
That dilemma is at the heart of what makes these movies hypothetically so compelling. Is I know this thing needs to be destroyed, but I love it so much.
Okay, well, it didn't do that job.
Although when he dies at the end of the movie, you, me, and my sister who watched this with me were all like, "Oh, I feel bad for
Well,
him."
of course, I feel bad for it the whole time, but it's the math that Matthew Broderick does that makes it like, okay, this has to happen. They're born pregnant. This motherfucker just laid 200 eggs. That means that all of these are going to grow up to be the exact same size as that one with 200 eggs inside of them. It would be the end of the species. So maybe other Godzilla movies didn't do that, but like,
Godzilla never lays
Okay,
eggs.
so give me one giant creature and I'll find an island for it to live on. I
Yeah.
could find another way. It seems reasonable. It will follow me. But give me a driven pregnant daddy that gives birth to 200 boys. It's impossible. Mm-hmm. You have to kill all of them.
Yeah.
So there's no way to get attached.
Some other things I like about this movie.
Oh, okay.
The rain, which drove you crazy.
I hate the rain.
You hate rain in general
And
in
snow.
movies?
Yeah.
I knew you hate snow. I didn't know that you were so against rain.
I didn't know either.
Oh,
Because it was
rain
relentless.
is so cinematic.
But I just keep thinking about the slipping and how cold it is. And I don't like I don't like a movie where I can tell that the people are uncomfortable the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
So, Saw, not my best movie.
Yeah.
I don't like elements being in I don't like those driving the plot. I guess I just like more story. And less like, oh, it's raining.
Yeah, I agree. A movie where people are like,
Oh,
it's
cold.
raining, but where there's no story is bad. I agree. That's a bad movie.
Okay, if this movie was like so pumped up about the fucking weddings, the raining so much so like the opening scene with Matthew Broderick is him singing in the rain. Like, yeah, we get it. The movie's gonna have a lot of rain. Yeah. Clever.
They're telling you right up front. This is a rainy movie, but I like it. I like rain.
I know you do.
I like that when Godzilla attacks and then goes away, people like sort of resume their normal lives. I like that, but also there's sort of like a very hurricane-y element to it, where like a lot of people are hanging out in bars and stuff. It's like a hurricane's coming. What are you gonna do?
It's not that you can't go to work.
Mm-hmm. What else? There's a way in which this is just sort of like funnily, entertainingly bad, I think.
Ow! Don't we kiss it?
All right, you guys are on the podcast now. Come on.
Right. Where are you?
Ellie, come
There
sit with
is
me.
a-
Maggie, sit with her. Come on.
We're gonna talk. Well, we did make Maggie watch the last half
come
of
on.
it.
Finish this podcast with us.
What are we talking
Get
about?
over
Godzilla,
here.
1998.
Matthew Broderick.
Can we just talk about brain stew instead?
We can talk about
I have a brain stew corner. All right, the Stokeses are now all on the podcast. We have Elliot, we have Shay,
Oh, we have Shay.
and we have Maggie.
Maggie, say hello.
Hi.
Shay stole that.
Maggie, what'd you think of Godzilla?
Those poor dinosaur babies.
Yeah. Those poor dinosaur babies. Did they
And
have
one
to
of them
die?
is still alive, but I don't know why they would include that if they didn't even make a second part.
Well, they wanted to, but this movie didn't make enough money. So they
Did
canceled
it have
plans.
bad ratings?
Shay, Jesus!
Just got some thoughts.
All my friends at school were telling me to watch the Godzilla versus King Kong.
Yeah, which I'm going to the theaters to see tomorrow.
We should bring Maggie.
You want to come, Maggie?
I have to watch King Kong tonight. Then.
No, you don't. It's just Godzilla wants to fight Kong. What do you need to know?
Sure, I'll come.
All right. Elliot, thoughts on Godzilla?
My only thoughts are the only thing I really remember about the movie is the only thing I really remember in the movie is the beginning, or maybe it's in the beginning where he puts the electroshock thing in the ground to get out all the worms.
Oh, that
You know what I'm talking about?
out of my
Of course we
head.
do.
Yeah. Anyway, and then that juxtaposed with this large creature.
Really
It's like
makes
they
it
did
big.
that intentionally, you
Yeah.
know, to kind of go macro, micro.
Okay, Maggie's
you know?
raised her hand. Yes, Maggie.
Wait, so
You didn't
why?
see that part.
Oh no! Why did it take so long for them to like kill it? Like it like died
It's
and then
huge.
It's like classic horror movie that way.
just like
You need the fake death and then the resurrection and then
Yeah, they think they killed it. It went down to the bottom of the sea and then came back up at a good point.
mama like
And
baby.
it was good for drama.
I mean, baby like mama. They have to end with an egg. Mm-hmm. You know what? It's Easter. So
That's why I
No
chose
hiding
this
those
movie.
eggs.
That's why I picked this movie.
Okay.
I think this is still my favorite American Godzilla movie.
It's the only
This is better than
one.
this is better than the 2014 Godzilla.
Who's in that? Godzilla.
Godzilla's in it. Anybody else see that one?
No, this is the only
No.
thing I've ever seen Godzilla related.
Oh, okay.
That's because you
However, I
and
know,
Matt owned 4 DVDs. He just told us Blue Streak, The Simpsons, Godzilla, and Rush Hour 2.
Yeah.
Rush Hour 1 is my favorite. Oh my gosh, that
Better.
movie
It's
is
the better
so
of
funny.
the rushes.
But Rush Hour 2 and Blue Streak were lazy. Elliot's movies.
I have a friend who is a self-identifying blurred. You know what a blurred is?
No.
It's a black person that's a nerd.
Oh.
Oh, okay.
Blurs. Not everyone says that, but she likes to announce herself as a blurred.
She blurts the blurred.
Yeah, and when I was spray painting black oil enamel on a bunch of corn about a year ago as part of this art project.
Sure.
And it looks, if you didn't know what was going on and just walked out and saw me doing that, it looks pretty scary. And she kept talking about how it reminded her of the really, really old Godzilla movies and how Godzilla was constructed in the wake of the World War II as a metaphor for the atom bomb.
He was a metaphor for the atom bomb. And he looked great. And it was
Oh,
a guy in a
because you were
suit.
spraying kind of like Agent Orange, kind of like...
You're spraying Agent Orange.
Well, you know,
like,
the-
I had a spray gun, like with a hose,
Right.
and it's just like
It's menacing.
black, like
Yeah.
oil drenched.
Like if you could
soaking
really
wet
see
paint.
what the things that we spray our vegetables were doing to us with our eyes, it would look like that. That what we're consuming.
But it's more that like that physical act of doing that is like this is human destruction, like
Right.
symbolized, and this is like the most clear symbol of it. And that's why I think a lot of Godzilla's inspiration came from. Like,
Well,
how
it's-
do you depict like this devastation that the world has never seen before?
And that you can't even like comprehend, and to put it into words, you just couldn't.
You got to make a monster.
Yes, Maggie?
I didn't watch the beginning. How did he even get created? Like,
they don't
did they
show you that.
Oh.
Yeah, they just
nuclear
insinuate.
weapons.
Humans.
Radiation
Humans.
turns an iguana into a Godzilla.
SpongeBob related. No, it is.
But there's so many...
It is.
Yeah. Bikini Bottom, we already went over this, but Bikini Bottom is created from when nuclear weapons were tested in this island called Bikini in the Pacific Ocean. That's what SpongeBob is about.
Yeah.
Really?
That
It's
is
about
what
that you could animate even a sponge
You could turn a sponge
based
into
on
a
the
sentient, intelligent creature.
yeah,
That can talk.
and squirrels live underwater in a dome.
But they need the helmet.
Yeah, the astronaut.
You need to help. I
suit.
mean, because you gotta have some reality in there, Matt. You can't just be going down there.
That's right.
Squirrel with gills, get out.
So what is so unimaginable? Well, every drama we put in movies now, there's been so many movies about the end of the world. And what kind of thing could we not comprehend that would need to be put into a movie to channel our anxieties?
Global warming.
But we have lots of global warming movies.
Yeah.
The one about the
Event Horizon.
whales.
The one about the whales.
You're saying what are we not thinking of right now that we're going to be
do
mortified?
we have some sort of creeping
Oh.
anxiety about something
I
that...
Yeah,
have
about-
a really bad anxiety about something.
I mean, it's hard
But-
to say like what hasn't been like a
Yeah.
movie because I mean
That's what I mean.
It's
I've
the
gotta-
damage of words. We're
I've
not-
got to say, it's us
eliminating
all
them.
not being vegans and vegetarians. There's
Yeah.
some kind of huge reckoning of the way we treat animals. That's going to be a horror movie later.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, they've already made the movie about like the Meg and Jaws, but like
Yeah.
I want them to make a movie about like a team of like marine biologists that go like deep into the ocean or whatever and like find like what's actually down there.
You mean
Oh,
bottom-
the deeps.
bottom of the ocean?
Yeah.
You mean- yes, I'm totally creeped out. But
I am terrified.
I
of
don't
the
even
bottom
like
Oh
of
my
the
god.
I don't like a body of water where I can't
don't
see
do
my feet.
submarines.
I don't do deep pools. Submarines can get
Today
the hell out.
we watched this video because we were learning about the Vietnam War,
Right?
and it was about like the Soviet Union, like the submarine people, and like how stressed they were, and like how scary it was, like literally just getting like bombarded by these big ass boats, like that. I'm terrified. Like oh my gosh, imagine if it just like last night they literally some of them died because of
The whole
freaking
submarine
Meg.
died.
Like,
yeah.
I love that scene
When
of
you
The
fart in a
Leftovers where
submarine,
the
everyone
submarine
smells
sets
it.
off.
You know
Yeah.
what I'm
It's
saying?
such a weird scene.
Yeah. But it's
And that's a
beautiful.
French nuclear sub.
Okay.
Just like in this movie, it all connects.
But they spend so much time in the beginning of the movie showing you people not dying. Like, they do everything. It's the everything but. Like, everyone's like going through claws, or like you don't see any human destruction at all, and then there's like, and blow up a submarine, Black Hawk down. Like they just start.
They need to make a movie about a
taking
mass
people
shooting.
out.
They need to make a movie about a mass shooting.
Yes, that's one of my biggest fears.
A movie
Well,
about
yes,
a mass-
to be clear,
Have you seen
Maggie-
The Elephant?
Maggie is
No.
17.
Yeah, Maggie's in a high school where every day there's like a reasonable chance there's going to be a mass shooting.
Yeah, you should
Which
watch-
is not funny, but
Watch the movie Elephant.
don't watch Elephant. That's a very disturbing movie. But that's a good point.
And we're the start of World War III. Like, what would like today, like in the 20th century, like how would we react to that? Like, I would love to see them make a movie about that.
But it's like every Marvel movie has the world being enveloped in like an alien coming out of a wormhole to just destroy everything with a thing, or even like how much worse could World War III be than Thanos snapping everybody out of existence?
That's also true. Also, I watched all the Hunger Games movies like 2 weeks ago, and I realized that that's one of my new fears unlocked. If I were to have to go into a dome
Let's
and fight
just
for
make
my
a
life.
suicide pact, and like the first thing we do is just stab each of us to
Yes.
death. Like I was like, I don't want to do this.
I would not be able to. I would not survive.
Nope, I wouldn't either. I wouldn't get past. I wouldn't like where you run
You'd
to
be
get the
terrible
supplies.
at it.
I'd die on the. I'd fall into a volcano that wasn't there.
Elliot,
on
how
the
would you
way.
fare in the Hunger Games?
He'd do great.
I think I would do well.
He'd be the best of the four of us.
Climb right up a tree.
He's very crafty.
He'd
He's
pee
very-
inside of a tree hole.
I mean, I like the person whose defense was camouflage.
Mm-hmm. Yes, because if you
crafty.
just
Yeah.
Peter, he did it.
All right, final thoughts, Godzilla?
I wonder,
Maggie liked it.
What does Brain Stew have to do with Godzilla?
Oh.
Like, what's the connection there?
The Green Day song Brain Stew, I first heard the Godzilla remix before I ever heard the studio version.
Keep talking.
This is so fascinating, I know. But I had not heard the Godzilla version until yesterday when I listened to it again. And it was like slipping on a comfortable pair of shoes that just fit you perfectly. I was like, ah, yes, my old friend, this song.
But was it made for the movie?
It was just a remix that they put onto the soundtrack. But yeah, it's just the I'm having trouble trying to sing. That song.
Oh.
But, so it's that song, except there's also
That's-
Godzilla roars in it. That's it.
Oh, so it's
Is
like
that, so
it's like my
Godzilla
heart
is
will
singing
go.
the song.
Yeah,
So my heart will
That's
go
his-
on
That's
with
his
Kate
narrative?
Winslet.
Exactly.
Never let go, Jack. It's like my heart will go on with
it's,
this.
it's the Jack and whatever Rose
Re-
love version, yes. Which apparently, listen to this.
Oh my God, they
I got
weren't
some
in love.
hot goss for you.
Give it to me. Some hot
Radio
Ryan
stations
Gosling.
were just doing that on their own before they produced an official version.
Yeah, I could tell the one that I know is the B97 version. It's not the same as the others.
Oh, that's awesome.
Upon your gifting of you receiving the gift of the Celine Dion record, you were thoroughly disappointed that was not the Titanic version, and they had to return it to get to the Titanic version.
And this is why Elliot is great. He remembers these things too.
Back when CDs had the big handle and the.
Remember those?
Do you know what CD I got?
What?
Wait,
No.
I want to guess.
Um,
Okay, wait, I gotta put myself there.
It's just comfortably probably 1998 or 7.
Would it be Blink 182?
Oh
No.
This is my first CD that I ever.
Oh,
received.
okay.
Spice World.
No.
Yes.
You had that on. You already had that, and that was not Spice World, the first one.
That's
Right.
why I was guessing Spice World. It wasn't Spice Girl or Spice.
I'll give you a hint. Luke Colnice's mom criticized my mother of being a bad mother for giving
I know
me
exactly
this
what
My
record.
first
I know
one.
exactly
Therefore,
what
I
it
got it
is.
taken away.
Mine was Whoop. There it is. So is yours similar to that?
I mean, not
We had
that.
cassettes prior to the CD, so getting a CD was a big deal.
Yeah, this
Do
was
you know
my
what CD
first
this
CD.
was?
Was Whoop. There it is.
I know exactly what CD this was. This was
69,
Chumbawamba
but-
Tub Thumper.
It takes a whiskey drink. It takes a, that.
Tub Thumper?
That's something. Yes,
damn it.
Maggie.
Two things. Okay, one, since me and my friends have been in the truck, they like opened the center console and they're like, CDs? Like what? Like that's historic. Like if you really
That's
think about it,
historic.
I have never used a CD in my whole entire
Oh,
life.
they're so reliable and
Like
sound great.
my whole entire life. Second thing, what year did that Godzilla that we watched come out?
1998.
Oh.
Yeah.
It gave me Home Alone vibes.
Why?
It was the score. She's
And-
not wrong. The score it had Home Aloniness in it.
Like-
and New York.
lot of product
One
placement,
New
too.
York and like they were like at Madison Square Garden and like all this stuff, but there was like this thing about
Yeah.
like how charismatic like the main characters were and like I don't know, it was like low-key inspirational. Like I don't know.
It was inspirational. I agree. This is not a terrible movie. Lacey, hated
Lacey,
it
it's
so
not
much.
that bad, but
Oh my God.
there's so much beautiness to it. Like that, like what's it called, Godzilla, like he saw all of his babies like dead.
Oh no,
And then he died like seconds after.
Also,
I'm
fathers
pro
could be
Godzilla.
good parents too,
Okay, because that was what I was really
Penguins.
against. Yeah.
and men.
That's why I was so upset just now. Dad.
So we got our final thoughts out.
I think so.
That's good
I
flick.
feel like we really got a lot done here. We figured out a
We
lot
dug
of stuff.
in. That was an hour and a half.
Yeah. All right.
It's a big sode.
Elliot and Maggie, thanks for being on the
Thanks.
podcast.
No
You got anything you want to
problem.
plug?
The hole in the ozone, man. I'm sorry, Elliot.